episode of the Blue Honor Vlog. I'm Kay Williams, author of Optech Operation Deceit, the Trilogia trilogy, and the Civil War era novel Blue Honor. Today I want to talk to you a little bit about why would you need to schedule time to write. A lot of writers talk about that. A lot of well-known writers talk about having a specific time set aside during the day to actually sit down and engage your writing. I don't necessarily advocate that because I feel like when you're going to write, especially in creative fiction versus the blog, these are two separate things for me. Different things have to happen, and a lot of that has to do with inspiration, having all the information that you need. So you can't necessarily schedule that, and a lot of times scenes that you might be thinking of and stuff start playing out in your head, and you know, the time is immediate, and other times it might be nothing is coming to you. So I have had creative writing teachers who said, well, just start writing because that will help you get there and just get anything down on paper. And I don't think that that's necessary, so to speak. So why would you need to do that? So I'm going to talk a little bit about blog requirements versus fiction, nonfiction materials for publication. And like I said, maybe you have a deadline. So in that case, you're going to want to schedule yourself some time every day to kind of work on that word count or page count, or however long you're planning. You know, the end, so to speak. I don't go by word count. I don't go by number of chapters. I go by when the story feels finished, and that's it. And that's it's going to be whatever length it's going to be, however long it takes me to tell that story and tell it well. And that page count will change, word count will change, chapter count will change with editing, especially if you work with a really great editor. They might be like, you know, you really should keep these two chapters as one. They go together. And just cutting things out and stuff where you're repetitive, or maybe you're giving something away, or adding. You could be adding things like, you know, you didn't say enough here. I feel kind of lost. This wasn't adequate enough for me. You know, a blog is not the same as fiction. See, that's like a nonfiction sort of thing. Depending on what you're doing, in most cases you have deadlines that are weekly. I know I try to plan out my blog a couple months in advance, start tapings, etc. for the YouTube channel, anything else like Shag Bottom Theater. So I start thinking about that sometimes months in advance. Even my drawings for Zoe, these things are planned out. And when I have a free minute, because I'm raising a toddler currently, she is a 2-year-old, and she is demanding just by the nature of being a toddler. So, and you're never going to get that time back. So I spend that time with her. Also, like a lot of other authors, I have a day job. So 9 to 5 is spent on that and that alone, and I focus on that work. Whereas with writing, you know, I just fit it in where I can. You know, it's not gonna happen, of course, when I'm at work. It's not going to happen when I'm spending time with my daughter. So for me, writing time for the blog happens after she goes to bed, or she might be having an overnight with her grandparents, and you know, it's just things like that. So as for writing a fiction book, I really have to wait for an idea to hit me, and then I have to wait for those scenes to play out in my head. I do not sit there spending 15, 20 minutes, a half an hour every day, forcing myself to sit down at the desk with some kind of discipline. I don't think that that's good. I think that that can be very frustrating. I think that's where we start to think we have writer's block. There's other things that you do in the creative process, and especially fiction writers, shouldn't be anchored to a desk. You should be out living your life, having experiences, doing research, reading other books, because otherwise you don't have anything to write. And that's the most important part of it, is doing things that will inspire you to write. That said, if you need the practice, most certainly you should sit down 10 to 15 minutes a day and try to write and journal, do your blog. I think blogging is probably the single best thing to help you hone your craft with writing, to work on the passive voice, etc. Just to learn all those little things. You can do serials on your blog. A lot of people don't think about that. So if you have an idea, you can do like a chapter and then publish a chapter a month, say, on your blog, and keep working on your book or your piece of fiction, or you can call it a serial. A lot of authors used to do that, and they would publish in newspapers and it would be serialized, which is very cool. So I don't know if they actually tie themselves down to their desks. In a lot of cases that was their job. They were getting paid to do that. Times are different. It's much harder to get a job writing that actually pays the bills. So a lot of us go and we have other passions and we follow those, and writing is like the side hustle, until you can make something go of it. And that can be a little difficult. It's like you need benefits and other things, and here in the United States at least, you can't get universal benefits. You have to have an employer. So that's how that works. So nonfiction, of course, relies on doing your research, etc. So you might be deadlocked waiting for materials to come in and stuff, like you ordered a book from the library or from a retailer, and you're just kind of deadlocked waiting for that to come in. And you can get kind of like, I don't know where I really want to go with this. And there's creative nonfiction, which is very cool stuff. And I admire those people, because I'm just like, how do you do that? I'm like, creative nonfiction that's just interesting. I guess it's kind of like those dramatizations that you see on like History Channel when they do reenactments of historical moments. So you really research a topic and you present it creatively, which is fantastic. And that's kind of hard to do, and you have to be prepared. You can't just tie yourself down to a desk and say, I have to do this. And 365 days a year, I make myself sit down at my desk and I at least write 20 minutes every day. I'm like, good for you. If you can find that time, that's great. Maybe you need that. And a lot of people, do say, I need that structure. That's okay. I'm not saying anything against that. I'm just talking to the people who feel like that just doesn't feel like it suits me, and I don't know how I'm going to make that fit into my schedule. You don't have to. The people who are telling you that you need to do that, they need to do that. So when you hear, you need to do this, that's what's working for them. Understand that. That's what's working for them. These things don't work universally for everyone. So be careful, going out there and getting all this advice. It's really important to follow what works best with your craft, because that's going to even change from year to year, month to month, week to week, day to day. Things change, inspiration strikes, and you are absolutely able to write every single day. And then all of a sudden it's gone, and you're like, I'm not tying myself down to my desk. I'm going to go out and live. I have colleagues who feel very similar to me. When inspiration strikes is when I sit down and I write. Otherwise, I'm not going to tie myself up like that. And it's okay, just so that you know. So that is why you would or would not need to schedule time to write daily. So hopefully that's answered your question. It's another, it depends, right? Thanks for watching, and please subscribe, and I will see you back here next time. Thank you.